last of my things set up here. How are you, Julian? Thanks for being here. Hey, look at all you guys there on D Live. Awesome. I am going to scoot a window over here and let me do this. Ooh, look at that. It works. Okay. How is everybody today? It is freezing here. We actually had snow here in our area yesterday afternoon. Not much, just a little bit, but enough to make the ground.
We've made that.
Stop her from talking. Do 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 do, and do this. And
Made that.
stop her from talking. Do 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 do. Put that out. Put that there so I can see what's happening.
Made that.
Okay, that looks good. Put that there so I can see what's happening. Okay. Let's see if that thing stops echoing now. Let's see if we got it right. Hi, Luna Cat. Hi, Dude Abides. Let's see if that thing stops echoing now. Oh, I gotta stop her from talking. That's why. Got it. Okay. There we are. All the little buttons you have to push to get it started. Snow hasn't stopped since Friday where you are at. That's a lot of cold. Good evening, Serafina. So, I have a hot cup of tea. And we got a lot of snow in here in Chicago too. Oh yeah, I bet so. And I have friends over in the south who are having tornado warnings the last few days, and burr and wind, all kinds of crazy weather. So how's everybody hanging in there? I've been talking to a lot of people and seeing that we have a lot of people dealing with grief right now and disappointment in, in all of the things that have transpired or haven't transpired in the world around us. And, we have had people who've been sick, and we've had people have lost people this year. It's been a really hard year. And so I thought, in our program today, we could talk about some things and include a little bit of topic about grief today, because it seems to me like we're all having some grief for a handful of different reasons. So we'll get to that as we go through our notes today. Does everybody have a pen and their journal for making notes and writing? Let's see. Awesome. Thank you for the subscription. All right, Dude Abides. Awesome. Mixig1, thank you. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Hi, Zaralath. Thank you for hosting me. I appreciate that too. That's awesome. Good to go. All right, everybody's ready. So, I'm going to scoot that screen over here and okay, there we go. We got a good crowd today. Did you make affiliate, Zaralath? Congratulations. That's really awesome. That's really awesome. All right. So, when dealing with other people, sometimes we need to be mature enough to understand that we aren't perfect and have some toxic traits as well. It's not always the other person. Hi, Vlad. Yeah, congratulations, Zaralath. No problem. Thanks for furry hosting me. Um, so, I had a conversation with a girlfriend a couple months ago who um, said to me, I have this problem, and I seem to have this problem with everybody. I don't know why everybody tells me the same thing over and over again. And I sat down with her and I said very sweetly, "Hi, Susie Q. Sometimes it is us. And sometimes we are the one with the toxic behavior. And we're the one creating the drama. And so sometimes it's not always them. And if we are hearing from people similar things over and again, we need to take time and write those things down and own them. Own them. It's not, sometimes these things are hard to do because we have to look at our faults and see where we are not as healthy as we could be, or see where we have things we need to sort out and heal up. And sometimes this isn't easy to do, but sometimes it's us. So, I had my own experience with this about a month ago. And I had to sit down and take a good hard look at myself and see where my damage was causing problems between me and somebody else. And I really took a hard look at it, and I made some notes and had a conversation addressing these things with the person that I was having a difficulty with. And it wasn't an excuse, but it was an explanation of kind of where I come from and what my perspective is and why I see things a certain way. And I asked questions about how that affected their life and how that affected them. And, we came to some really great things between us. We understood that we use certain language a little bit differently, and so we found some clarity there as well. If you are having this experience where you're seeing where you're seeing that you might be the one bringing the toxicity or the upset into a relationship with someone, take some time and look at what your action is. What are you doing? And why are you doing it? What is the trigger for the feelings that you're having? And go back far in your life and look at where this might originate from. This will give you something to go back and look at and take care of and heal, so that you don't continue to carry these behaviors on forward. Sometimes people just don't get each other. There's that. There absolutely is that. And that's not a matter of being toxic. It's just a matter of not seeing the world or experiencing it in the same way at all. And that's okay. You're not for everybody, and everybody is not for you. But sometimes our behavior is really destructive. And arguing over silly stuff, and arguing over silly stuff, usually you may not get each other, but there's usually a reason for arguing over silly stuff all the time. It's the need to be right and the need to be heard. And if you can identify that you need to be heard over something, or decide, make the decision of whether or not it's really that important to you to be right about it, you might find some room to get along a little better. Yeah, you definitely will find a little room to get along a little bit better. So, take a look. See what is yours. We're not all good people. We're not all perfect people. We have our own baggage, and we have our own triggers and things that we need to look at and address and heal up. Julian, most people do react before thinking. I had to stop that years ago. Now I smile and wave. Yeah. Yeah. Can I change this? No. Is it worth arguing over? Maybe, maybe not. Do I need to react? Is it rude? Is it unpleasant? Okay. But does it really affect me? Nah. And let it go. And just let it go. That's a really healthy thing, because then when you really have something that you need to have a conversation about, you haven't spent a year arguing over all the garbage, and when you bring something up, it comes with weight because you're serious about it, and because you don't always have that interaction with somebody. So yeah, reacting, taking the time to think before you react and making it a response instead of a reaction is really much better. Yeah, the news and the political stuff and all the fake news and all the health news and all of the weight of being confined and under mask mandates and all of the pressure that we're under to get through our daily life. That takes so much energy out of you, and it does make people a little irritable and a little grouchy, and I think that it puts a lot of us not on our best. It really doesn't keep a lot of us on our best selves, because we're tired. So keep that in mind, you know. I'm going to move on to the next slide here. Perfectionism is the belief that if we live perfect, look perfect, and act perfect, we can minimize or avoid the pain of blame, judgment, and shame. It's a shield. It's a 20-ton shield that we lug around thinking it will protect us when, in fact, it's the thing that's really preventing us from flight. I'm guilty of this. And it does hang me up, and it does cause me a lot of anxiety. And when I really get tangled up in it and I identify that that's what's going on, I take myself back to the first time I ever went to Burning Man, and how this was really a place where I had the first opportunity to feel what it was like to just be free, to be myself. The first time in my adult life. And it was really something. It was really something to be out there and to introduce myself. I could introduce myself to, because I went alone the first time I ever went. I went alone, and my son told me where his friends were camping, how to find them, and told them I was coming. And when I got there, they helped me pitch my tent and showed me around and then sent me on my way. And I was in the dust for 10 days on my own, and it was really something. It was 10 days of dust and wind and fire and 70,000 people, high fives and hugs everywhere, and it was just really something. And it was an opportunity for me to let go of all those expectations. We talked about this in another episode of Tea and Journaling, about expectations and the weight they put on you. And I just put them down. And when people asked me about myself, I told them the things that I felt the most truly and deeply about myself on the inside. And when I left there, I cried all the way home, because I finally was in touch with something about myself that, as a human being and an adult, I never really had the opportunity to express over and over and over again so many times, to really feel and believe it. And so put it down. You don't have to be a size 2. You don't have to be young. You can have wrinkles. You can, whatever it is. You can sit down and draw and start with a stick figure. We all have to start somewhere. You can learn to sew and have crooked seams, and you can learn to bake and have really heavy bread. You have to start somewhere. But if you think that it has to be perfect the first try around, you'll never try. And there are a lot of things you just won't experience and have the joy of accomplishing if you carry the weight of perfectionism all the time. Set it down. How many of you can relate to this? Serafina can totally relate to this. Yeah, you too, Dudabides. We seem to think that if we are the only way that people will relate to us or be interested in us or be, want to be around us is if we're perfect. But this belief comes from comparing ourselves to others and comparing ourselves to others' best days and best skills and best expressions of their talents. It doesn't come from comparing ourselves to the hours and hours and hours of practice on the piano or the guitar or whatever it is. We need to be more compassionate to ourselves and we need to be more compassionate to ourselves on that, and we need to remember that everybody started somewhere. Some of us later than others, and you know what? We all have our time to bloom, and it's never too late to try something new. It really isn't. And it's okay for it to be lumpy and messy and wrinkly and all wrong at first. Let the perfectionism come in the fact that you gave yourself permission to try. Yeah, Capricorns really struggle with that, don't they? All right, let's move into some of our topics here today. Pastor David Crosby said, "You don't get to choose the events that come your way, nor the sorrows that interrupt your life. They will likely be a surprise to you, catching you off guard and unprepared. You may hold your head in your hands and lament your weak condition and wonder what you ought to do. To suffer, that is common to all. To suffer and still keep your composure, your faith, and your smile, that is remarkable. Pain will change you more profoundly than success or good fortune. Suffering shapes your perception of life, your values and priorities, and your goals and dreams. Your pain is changing you." No, not too late. Nice to see you, Michelle. Your pain is changing you, and it teaches you a lot if you allow it to. We can lay in bed and feel the sting of our suffering and feel the ache and the weight of it. And sometimes we need to. Sometimes we just have to respect that it's really there. But we also need to get up and move through it. We also need to have the fortitude and wherewithal to realize that life continues to move around us. And you don't have to engage it fully. Just get up and look at it if that's all you can do sometimes. And then when you're ready, get into it. Again, what are some things that pain has taught you? Pain has taught me patience. Pain has taught me humility. Pain has taught me that taking a deep breath will move me through it. Pain has taught me what my weaknesses are and where my strengths are. Pain has taught me how to see myself honestly and to know what that feels like to stay in a place of honestly seeing myself. How about you guys? What has pain taught you? Hi, Fort Putnam. Resilience. Be amazing what you can live through. Yes, it is amazing what you can live through, one breath at a time. Suffering is necessary. Imperfect perfectionist is really hard, like a type A personality, but I can only live a type C life to do disabilities. And yeah, Susie. It's really hard on type A personalities to deal with pain and suffering and deal with perfectionism, because that is their method of controlling the world around them. Zaralath, that's really beautiful. Pain has taught me higher standards of trust. Absolutely. Absolutely. I can say that I've learned that lesson too. Dude abides. Absolutely. Our happiness and our confidence and our feeling of being loved must come from us before we deal with love and emotions with other people. Absolutely. Being an empath, you can't fix everything. That's right. You cannot fix everything. And that's really hard for an empath, because you feel everything going on around you and you have hopes and ideas for how things can be better. And it's not always, when you trying to fix it for someone else, you're interrupting their path. Though we try. Yes, we try. We do try. We do try. So, in your journal this week, write about what lessons your pain is teaching you. What are you learning from your pain? Sometimes those lessons are dark and heavy, and sometimes we can find the humor in them, and sometimes we can find the silver lining in them. So, you might have quite a variety of things that your suffering is teaching you. I imagine so, Luna Cat. Yeah, it is very draining. It is very draining to feel like there are things you want to change and can't. So when we focus on the things we want to change and can't, we're spending energy on things that we can work on, that we can change, or we can adjust, or we can shift our perspectives on, right? Sometimes the change really only happens when you have a shift in perspective. The situation and everything about it may remain the same, but changing your perspective may be just the right enough, just enough of the change needed to make things feel better and to teach you something really valuable. So this week, spend some time on that in your journals. Identify your goals and dreams and priorities, and see what your pain is teaching you. You alone are enough. You have nothing to prove to anybody. Maya Angelou. I found a lot of things by her. I love that woman and her writing. She was brilliant in observing the human condition, and when I don't know if you have come to this conclusion for yourself, or when you came to this conclusion for yourself. But about 10 years, 11 years ago, 11 years ago now, I came to this idea about myself that I was enough. I brought enough to the table. I was worthy of love. I knew how to give love and receive love. And I brought enough to the table to be, a good contributor any kind of a relationship, whether it was a friendship or a romantic one, and that I had value with respect to relationships. And this is not always something that we are aware of for ourselves. So if you are not aware of this and you haven't come to this conclusion for yourself, I want you to take some time and work on this week. You alone are enough. You have nothing to prove to anybody. For yourself, you are enough. Hi, Lala. And if you feel like you aren't, make a list of the things, characteristics, not, not physical attributes, but things relating to your character. Wow, thank you, Big Hair. That's so awesome. I really appreciate that. Hey, everybody. Thanks to Big Hair for the subs. That's really cool. Thank you. Excuse me. Take a look at yourself. What are your character traits that are outstanding? Are you an honest person? Are you a hard worker? What are the things about your character? Can you keep a secret? All of those types of things. Start there. And then move into your talents and skills. Everybody has them. I know sometimes we feel really down on ourselves and think that we don't. But this is an opportunity and a time for you to really pat yourself on the back and recognize these things about yourself. And then I want you to stick these things where you can see them. Take a screenshot of it, look at it daily, write them on your mirror with a dry erase marker. I write notes to myself on the mirror with dry erase markers often as reminders. See, Fort Putnam, it really changes your brain chemistry to tell yourself that you are enough, and it changes what you allow from other people and the way they treat you as well, because you get to a point where you say, you know what, I deserve better than that. When you're telling yourself, I deserve better than that, because you've been listening to the tapes in your head, berating yourself and putting yourself down, and you stop it and say, I deserve better than this, Alicia. Let's have something kinder to say today. When you can do that, then when other people do it to you, you are able to step away and feel incredibly powerful and proud of yourself for not allowing it to continue. When I started that practice some time ago, and it took me a while to get to a point where I started to externalize it. And then when I did, and I walked away from somebody who was treating me in the same manner as the mental tapes in my head, I didn't feel even sad about the loss in the friendship. I just knew that it was time, because I was finally not, if I wasn't going to put up with it from myself, I wasn't going to put up with it from my friend. And she didn't think that I was right to have such a comment or a complaint. And but I knew that I knew that she was not treating me kindly, and that I deserve better because I was treating myself better. It changes your relationships. It closes doors and opens many new doors. Absolutely, that you're worth it, right, Julian? You absolutely are worth it. I absolutely love that you guys are doing that. So if you haven't come to that, use this week to start that practice. This might be one of the most key practices of key importance that you can instill in your daily mental health for changing your life into a positive direction. I've lost friends. They would constantly take and never ask how you're doing. When you are the caregiver in the group, that your friends will miss you tremendously when you go, because you were the caregiver in the group. They may not necessarily ever say a word to you about it, because they won't even ask you why you left. You know? But Luna Cat, those aren't friends in the end, are they? If they are not able to reciprocate the caregiving and the kindness, are they? Hey, Red Rage. Yeah, forgive yourself. No one is perfect. Absolutely forgive yourself. We are all on our own path of learning, and sometimes it takes us longer than others to learn certain lessons, and sometimes we learn lessons that people around us don't have to learn because of our own doing. So, forgive yourself. You know better now, and you will do better going forward. Christiane Martin said, when your world moves too fast and you lose yourself in the chaos, introduce yourself to each color of the sunset. Reacquaint yourself with the earth beneath your feet. Thank the air that surrounds you with every breath you take. Find yourself in the appreciation of life. So, gratitude. This week, go outside at sunset and take a picture of the sunset every night this week. I like to take pictures of the sunset when they start and kind of photograph them all the way through the change of color until the sky is dark enough. It's 3.5, maybe 5 minutes at most. You can do that. And it'll set your mood right for the rest of the evening. I always feel better when I stand outside and watch the day close up and take pictures of the sky and look at the different colors and shades of pink and yellow and gold and blue and gray. I really love that. It's extremely soothing to me. So take some time, take a breath, remind yourself of the good things. But make a practice this week, starting tonight. Go out at sunset and snap some shots of the sunset and see how it makes you feel at the end of each one, and then make a couple little notes about it in your journal. I watched sunset tonight and I was reminded of. I watched the sunset tonight and I felt a deep gratitude for. I watched the sunset tonight and finally felt some relief from. I watched the sunset tonight, and even though I missed so-and-so, I felt, and fill in the blanks. I watched the sunset tonight and I was angry, but when I was finished with the sunset, I was fill in the blank. Yeah, it is really nice. To take, and it's just a couple of minutes, but it sure makes a difference, doesn't it, Susie Q? I breathe easier when I am assertive about what I want. Are you assertive about what you want? Do you state it clearly? You don't have to be demanding, but are you assertive about it? Do you make it clear? Good. That's important. People can't give you what you want if they don't know. And the only way for them to know is for you to tell them. You don't have to be demanding. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to have expectations. But if something is going on that you want or need, you can say, you know what, I would really like it if. This really makes me happy when. Fill in the blank. I breathe easier when I restate my boundaries with habitual boundary violators. Do you have those in your life? I don't have too many of those in my life anymore because I got tired of restating my boundaries. Clearly, my boundaries didn't matter enough to them to for them to take a look at their own toxicity and see where they needed to grow. So, I let them move on. Okay. I breathe easier when I do my best. When we kind of move through our life in a half-assed way, everything comes back to us in a half-assed way. Not really complete, not really well formed. So put your energy into things. Do your best. This doesn't relate to perfectionism. This relates to identifying that you gave something your best, and having pride in your work and having pride in your effort, and knowing that you are having a really good development of character by doing your best. So do your best. And on days when you can't do your best, just discover why. Take some time and think about, why can't I do this today? What is my holdup? What is holding me back? Why am I so resistant to doing my best in this? And there are answers, and they will come really fast. I am resistant to doing my best on this today because I feel resentful, and fill in the blank. Yeah. Ask yourself why you're resistant to doing your best on days like that. I breathe easier when I prepare instead of procrastinating. This is really true. When I have all my notes ready and everything's all set in my machinery here, I feel confident and calm when I sit down. Because this is a big deal. I don't think you really know what a big deal this is. For 5 years, I wanted to do this, and I didn't have the nerve to sit in front of a camera and do this. And then Corey made me sit on the camera with him. And I finally decided to put my courage in and give it a try. So prepare. Know that even if you have prepared and things kind of crumble, you have everything you prepared in front of you, and you can grab it and pick it up and make it part of the dance, like we talked about last week. When we procrastinate, we feel rushed and pressured and stressed, and it usually puts us in a bad mood to feel like we are on a timeline to get something done. I breathe easier when I set reasonable limits for myself. Do you know your limits? How many of you know your limits, and how many of you are still overextending yourself because you haven't determined your limits yet? It's okay to say no. It's okay to say that's not for me, but thank you for asking. It's okay to say, I'd really like to right now, but I have a lot of things going, and this is not a thing that I can handle right now. Thank you for asking. I appreciate your confidence in me, but I really am not able to right now. Know your limits. Yes, Luna Cat. Thank you. If you've ever taken the Myers-Briggs personality, mine is an INFJ T. INFJ-T. I'm an advocate personality. I'm also very introverted. So, this is a big deal. It's all, that should explain it all right there. This is a really big deal. And I love that you guys are all here, and that you keep coming back. I love that you keep coming back. It gives me purpose to be able to share, and it gives me purpose to offer something that is meaningful. So, thank you guys. Yeah, I love the introverts. I totally get you. I totally get you. Should we have as we're talking about setting limits, should we just have a conversation one day about setting limits for oneself? What kinds of things are overwhelming, and what kinds of things, how to figure out where your limits are, and how to manage them socially. Hi, Fortunate. Thanks for being here. I'm having fun today, even if I'm nervous. Thanks, guys. It's okay, Luna Cat. I kind of got that. I breathe easier when I change my habits instead of complaining about them. Okay, Seraphine, I think I'll write that down and make a note about that. I breathe easier when I change my habits instead of complaining about them. I really don't like the way my pants fit. My pants are too tight. My pants are too tight. I could complain about my pants being too tight, my crappy work schedule, and my crappy, diet and all of these things, or I could just change it. I could shop on Saturday, do my prep, and be ready for the week. It's that simple. And you know what? I'll feel better about myself because I'm taking care of myself. So, what habits do you have that need changing, that you complain about all the time? I'm always so tired. Go to bed early. It's that simple. My back is always sore. Do a little exercise. Try some yoga. See what that changes. Whatever it is you're complaining about, change your habits and see if those complaints go away. Give that a try. Tell me what you think. Make a note in your journal on this, and make a note in your journal about this step here. What do you complain about on a regular basis that you need some habit changing? I breathe easier when I'm honest. It's much easier to go through life not having to think about who you told this story to and who you told that story to. And your story is always the same, and your experience with people all the way around is always the same when you are honest. This is a major character building practice. Don't lie about anything. Does this dress make me look fat when you're out shopping with your girlfriend? You can answer that two ways. Hold on. I'm going to unlock the door for Corey here really quick. Hold on. Are you okay? Okay. Some experts have said about 3 weeks in a row without skipping a day to begin changing habits. Absolutely. 21 days. 21 days changes everything. If you stick to it, you can do anything for 21 days. You can learn to like sprouts in 21 days. You can reduce your coffee habit in 21 days. You can lift a heavier weight in 21 days. You really can. Julian, you can watch the replay in the morning. I know we're up late. I know we are. And it's fun to have you in the chat too. So thank you, Seraphina. Yeah, be honest. Just be honest. So when you're out shopping with your girlfriend and she says, what do you think about this dress? And if it doesn't flatter her, you don't have to be rude. You can give her a couple of options. You can say, well, I really like that dress better. Or what do you think about it? Because if she feels really good in the dress, it's, you got to encourage her because she feels good in it. And there's something to be said about feeling good in what you wear. Hi, Christy. Thank you. Glad you're here. Thanks for following Sagsun. You want to support her, but you also want to be honest. I really like the red dress instead of that blue one. It's more flattering. Encourage her that way. You don't want to say, well, it's absolutely horrible, unless it's really absolutely horrible. and you can say it without, coming from with some humor or with some love. Just be honest. I want to know if the dress is wrong on me. And I know that my girlfriends want to know the same. They might buy it anyway because they like the way it feels. They like the color of it, whatever. Just be honest. How is the food tonight? I taste a lot of baking soda in the pancakes. I taste a lot of love them, love me, but tell me. That's right. Don't let me walk around with toilet paper hanging out of the back of my pants, okay? Just tell me. I breathe easier when I accept what is instead of fighting against what is. Well, you've all seen it. We've all seen it on the airplane where somebody comes out of the bathroom and they've got a long string of toilet paper on the back of their pants and they walk all the way to the front of somebody tell that person. Just tell them. They're going to appreciate it. But when I accept what is instead of fighting against what is, I will breathe easier. I can't change what is. I can accept it, and then acceptance gives me the room to be creative and find ways to deal with it. So, what do we need to do? What do we need to do to accept what is? We don't have to like it. Accepting it doesn't mean that we like it. Accepting it doesn't mean that we approve of it. Accepting it doesn't mean that we welcome it in our life. It means that we acknowledge it. And maybe acknowledge in this would be a better word than accept. So, I accept what is instead of fighting against what is. I can't. That's right. Love me, warts and all. And troll toes and, just, that's exactly right. If you need to acknowledge something that's difficult, you can start by appreciating what you have, that you have room to improve. Absolutely. And be thankful for that self-awareness. Absolutely. And that is a really positive way to move into hard things that we have to accept. That is a really great acknowledgement, and I appreciate you stating that. Thank you, Veritas. Thank you. That's really, really observant and appropriate, and extremely useful. We all have room to improve. We all do. And it's that little bit of humility goes a long way, doesn't it? One last one on this. I breathe easier when I give myself a pep talk instead of being hard on myself, right? You can do this. You've got this. You know how to handle this. And here we are, when we are our own worst critic. And let me ask you, Veritas, you probably say things to yourself that you would never say to your friend or your sister or brother or somebody that you care about, right? So we shouldn't say those things to ourselves. Be encouraging to yourself. You got this. You have planned for this. You're ready. Everything looks great. That's right, Julian. Long hours at work. Hey, you have a job. A lot of people right now, in the 60% of small businesses in this country have completely closed and gone under permanently. You have a job. Okay, it's a long job. and it's a hard job, or maybe it's not enough hours in the job, but it's still a job, and you're ahead. That's right, Luna Cat. Get up in the morning and do it all the time. I just burnt my dinner. Now, what am I going to do? I could really criticize myself, or I could say, well, we could try something else. You know? When we're hard on ourselves, we're just reconfirming and setting up all those negative tapes to go on back in our head, and it's self-abuse. And if we want to have different experiences in relationships, we need to, yeah, that's right, order a pizza or some Chinese or something if you burn it that bad. Scrape the toast and put some jam on it. I don't know. There's all, look for the silver linings. Silver linings sometimes are hard to find because they're so faint and fine, but they're in there. Encourage yourself. Well, this loaf of bread turned out again like a brick. Hey, I could put it on a string and use it as a weapon if I needed to, and have a little humor with yourself, because life is hard, and when we take the time to have a little laugh at our own mistakes and our own shortcomings and our our own failings, a sense of humor goes a long way in being kind to ourselves. I started counting the reasons for keeping my hair blonde, and I'm on reason 9,281 reasons for keeping my hair blonde. And that is kind of how I deal with it when I do really ridiculous or embarrassing things. I just have a laugh about it and say, reason 9,282 reasons for keeping my hair blonde. And, make a big bag of breadcrumbs, or break it up and make some croutons, or feed it to your birds, or any of those things. Yeah. Okay, so we've been talking about this a lot on Corey's program, and what, kind of this state that we're all in right now with having some PTSD. There you go, Susie Q. Exactly right. I thought we'd talk a little bit about that. Post-traumatic stress disorder, what it is and isn't. PTSD is a natural response to trauma, just as bleeding is a normal response to being stabbed. It sounds a little dramatic, right? But having PTSD comes from traumatic events. This is a vital point, actually. So often we feel like we're going crazy, and some people feel a sense of shame for developing PTSD. Why would you feel that same sense of shame for bleeding, though, or breaking a leg? Same difference. This is the result of your experiences. It says nothing about you other than that you are a survivor. We're all in this together, and we are all going through a lot of different types of very personal traumas in this. We've had a lot of different types of losses, a lot of different types of wounds, and a lot of different types of suffering. And so each of us has some variety of PTSD in all of this. Our kids have it differently than we do. Men who've lost their jobs have a little differently than stay-at-home moms. The list could go on and on. Take some time this week and identify where you feel that your wounds are in this. Identify them and acknowledge them, and recognize the feelings that we're all trying to kind of stuff down and keep under wraps because we're in such tight quarters all the time. Acknowledge those things through your writing. Give it some space and give it some room, and hopefully that'll begin to help alleviate a little bit of that. That's right, survivors, not a victim. We get through it every day and every night when we close our eyes and go to bed and wake up the next morning. That makes us a survivor. It absolutely does. Trauma permanently changes us. This is the big, scary truth about trauma. There's no such thing as getting over it. The 5 stages of grief model marks universal stages in learning to accept loss, but the reality is, in fact, much bigger. A major life disruption leaves a new normal in its wake. There is no back to the old me. You are different now, full stop. This is not a wholly negative thing. Healing from trauma can also mean finding new strength and joy. The goal of healing is not a papering over of changes in an effort to preserve or present things as normal. It is to acknowledge and wear your new life, warts, wisdom, and all with courage. Trauma changes you, full stop. That's pretty final, isn't it? Trauma changes you. But not all the changes that happen to us from trauma are bad. How many of you in this last year have developed some new skills and talents and things in taking care of yourself at home? I know that Code Red is become a proficient and amazing dehydrator, and she's creating all kinds of wonderful storable foods. This is new, right? So, it changes you. It makes you look at things a certain way. Absolutely. Trauma will change you and make you look at, give you a certain set of lenses to look at the world through. Maybe more cautious, maybe more aware, maybe a little less free-spirited. But at the same time, it also gives you new coping skills, new ways of creating relationships. It provides you a handful of silver lining things as well. So, yeah, when you have multiple situations of such things, absolutely. You discover that you have the ability to be extremely tolerant and very patient. And that you probably experience joy more often than people who've not had really big traumas. Luna Cat says, I find it very hard to accept all the changes that have happened in my life. A little bit earlier we talked about the word accepting, and I know you have a lot of big challenges to accept, and they're really difficult and heavy, Luna Cat. Acknowledge them first. Worry about accepting them later. Just acknowledge them. Take a little pressure off yourself, and by acknowledging them, and too many too soon, and probably because they're all at once. This is a really great exercise for you to work on maybe over the next year. Make a list of all the changes and and write down all the feelings that you have associated with each one. Disappointment, loss, sadness, pain. And when you get to a point with those where you've moved from acknowledging them to accepting them, you will have a little bit of room there to start making progress with your new goals. if making new goals right now feels really heavy and like it's just way too much, set that part aside for a while. You don't have to do it all at once. You just really don't. Just one at a time, one little bit at a time, and we're all here to pick you up when you need a good bit of cheer and when you need some support. So, you don't have to do it by yourself. Are you in the comfort corner on the Telegram group, LunaCat? Hi, STC. If you are not in the comfort corner on Telegram, I'll get you a link. In that room, we just are there to be friendly and uplift each other and share positive, uplifting things with each other. There's no news. There's nothing like that going on in there. It's just a chat room. We don't allow any news or any outside world stuff come in there, because part of the reason we need comfort and support is all the outside world stuff. So, yeah, Veritas, that's really maybe next to each change, list a way you can transform them or learn and grow. Yeah. Everything, LunaCat, that's really, Veritas has a really great addition to that suggestion, is to, when you make a list of all the changes, figure out a way, write down a way that you can transform them or transmute them into something that suits you in your life right now, that it will be more supportive and enjoyable or healing for you in dealing with the losses. Yeah, let me grab it right now while we're talking about it. Telegram. Open up. This is the link to the comfort corner. Here you go, guys. There's the link to the comfort corner in Telegram. You're welcome. You'll really enjoy the company there. Thank you, Susie Q. And back to you, my dear. You're welcome, LunaCat. Okay. So I'm going to read this last statement in here again. The goal of healing is not a papering over of changes in an effort to preserve or present things as normal. When we have trauma, there is no going back to normal. And trying to replicate that after that kind of change, it's very, it's a facade, and it's not honest. New normal, it will be different going forward, and that's okay. It is to acknowledge and wear your new life, warts, wisdom, and all, with courage. So, courage, everybody. Be creative and dig in and try something new. Try something new. That when you do sometimes and you find that it works, that will inspire more courage to keep going. The brain's betrayal. The hot and cold cycle of attention followed by neglect or kindness followed by malice will create a trauma bond. Your brain will oscillate between pumping with oxytocin, bonding hormones, and cortisol, a stress hormone. The intensity and instability of this chemical cocktail breeds a hurricane inside your skull and heart. You feel unsafe. A simmering background anxiety floods your state, undermining your well-being. it becomes difficult to sleep or focus. Brain chemistry plays a massive role here. To stay sane through this process, you need to understand the brain's prime motivation and mechanics. Your brain's main goal is to keep you safe, not happy. Happiness becomes attainable only after your brain is convinced that you are safe. So, here we have a really great explanation of why so many of us right now are not feeling safe. Our leaders and our politicians and the Q movement and the patriots and, everybody, we have this back and forth, this terror of the coronavirus and this terror of the mask and this terror of the, being isolated and the terror of losing a job, counterbalanced with, we are in the dark, right? We definitely are in the dark. All of this counterbalance with the last minute hope of our president doing something for and in behalf of we the people. And then we have the disappointment and the extreme letdown of him not doing so. And we have this kind of push and pull with this. Our brains are in a chemical cocktail of oxytocin and cortisol. And so first, we need to do what we need to do to feel safe. What can we do in our homes right now, this afternoon, to feel a little more safe in the world around us? What are you guys doing to feel safe? Are you storing food? Are you making sure you have enough weapons to protect your home and your family? Are you making sure you have, shut off the news and turn on some uplifting music? Change the vibration, right? That releases oxytocin, absolutely. Drugs mostly. Oh, well. What else? What else are you guys doing? Try exercise. Yeah. Good. I found a yoga class I want to start taking online. I need to be taking better care that way. Exercising really helps. Makes your body feel strong and capable. And it also releases a ton of really terrific hormones and chemicals that make you feel good, make you feel alert, make you feel ready and prepared. So first, do what you need to feel, not just feel safe, but to know that for certain that you are as safe as you can be. Your brain doesn't understand the difference between, you can imagine something and you can plan it out. And if you imagine it well enough, then you begin to plan it well enough. And then when you plan it well enough, then you can look around you and see, I have a good security system. I have everything set up the way I want it so that I can close my eyes and go to sleep at night. I feel safe with my health. I know that I'm taking the best care of my body that I can, so it is performing optimally to avoid getting sick. Now I know that I am safe. Whatever it takes. Brushing up on foraging skills for springtime, absolutely. Trying to plan and record music and been learning some new skills. See, having a creative outlet takes your mind off all the crap going on in the world around you, and that also does create a sense of balance and safety. So, you guys have some great ideas here. Safety first. And then you'll be able to relax into a state of feeling happier. Jack Kerouac, Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, disbelieve them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them because they change things. They invent, they imagine, they heal, they explore, they create, they inspire, they push the human race forward. Maybe they have to be crazy because the ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. That's us, guys. Every one of us. Every one of us has that belief that the world can change, and every one of us, in some small way, is contributing towards that. Don't think for a minute because you are a lone person that you have no impact on the world at large. When you affect someone else's world, just one person, in a positive way, that reach of that is in the thousands, just so you know. Dancing is so good for you. I love dancing a lot. I love the freedom, I love the energy, I love the brain chemistry that happens with it. Yeah, we can all help a bit, yes, and show the love. And take action with your small little inventive things of how to reach out and how to make things better. Everything we do pushes towards the greater good. And I don't mean the greater good in the sense of communism. I mean the greater good in turning things around and correcting the direction that we're going in. Awesome. Setting up comms as well. That's a really important one, Son. Good for you. There are 9 types of rest. Thank you, Luna Cat. I appreciate knowing that. That means a lot to me. We need to remember to rest. Take time away. Permission to not be helpful. Again, it's okay to say no. Something unproductive. Connection to art and nature. Solitude and recharge. A break from responsibility. Stillness to decompress. Safe space. Alone time at home. Sometimes you need to get out of the house. And sometimes you need to say, you know what? I really am not going to help with that project today. I'll do it with you on another day, or you can do it on your own. But today, I just need a break. Do something unproductive. I had this idea growing up in the Mormon church that every last waking moment of mine needed to be dedicated to the building up of my family, the building up of the kingdom of God, all of this. And so being idle or being unproductive, was seen as a sin and recognized regularly as a sin in it. So there was never a waking moment that I wasn't involved and busy in something that was going to produce, cooking wasn't going to produce a handmade product. I sewed all my kids' clothes for years. Serving my neighbors, all of that. Sometimes it's okay to lay down in the hammock and take a nap, read a book, take a walk, watch TV, watch a movie. It's okay to give yourself that downtime. You need to. We don't get to much right now in the way of museums, but we can create our own art. And I'm thinking about putting together an art class for a Saturday coming up here soon. And getting out in nature and being alone. Shut the bathroom door. Take a hot bath. Enjoy the quiet. Whatever you need to do, take some time to create some rest for yourself. And maybe that seems like redundant because you probably, I don't know how many of you are in the home as long as during the week as me and Corey are, but Um, yes, Julian, even God rested on one day. Absolutely. Um, oh, I lost my train of thought there. An art class would be great. I think it would be a lot of fun too. I used to teach him in my healing center and haven't been able to really figure out the format for how to do it over the internet yet, so I'm working on that, but I think it would be a lot of fun. You love the singing bowls and the meditations? Awesome. I'll keep doing them. There's a new one I want to get that makes a nice sound. It's been hard to rest with the energy in the air lately. You know what? It is hard to rest with the energy in the air lately, and if you're empathic and you are picking up the general energy of the world around you, it keeps you up at night. And, you know, there's concern about military action, and there's a lot in the air that is making it hard to take a break and take a rest. Oh, yeah, that reminds me. Thank you, Son. When we're in our house all the time, it seems like, how could I possibly need more rest? Well, we're in the house all the time, and we're under a totally different kind of energy expenditure than we were when our kids were at school and we were leaving the house to go to our jobs and all of that. So, realize that you do need personal time, and you need some space, and you need to be able to unwind, even in the space of your own home that you hardly ever leave. You know, don't feel like that need is nonsensical, as it makes a lot of sense. And yes, Susie, I will teach you how to play it, your bowl. I will, on Thursday, I'll do a demonstration of both how to ring it and how to make it drone. All right? Let's see. Aren't you supposed to be over it already? And why can't you just move on? Think twice before you say this to someone who's decided to confide in you. You're telling me to stop holding on to the past as if I like being stuck in the same place. As if I like freezing up out of fear every time I see the sky gets dark, every time I go outside, praying that I will be able to go back home in one piece, that my own family will too, constantly listening to every sound in case I need to run, in case someone tries to hurt me again. If you don't know what hell is to have had your mind alert for danger all the time, quit lecturing me. I didn't choose this. I'm not doing it for attention, nor am I playing the victim. I'm trying to survive in a society that not only doesn't support you after you've been wronged, but also puts the blame on you. Fuck your forgiveness is healing. I won't ever forgive what they did to me. And if you can't accept that, that's fine by me. But if your friend, family, or someone you know confides in you, please, I beg you, don't ever say those words. You're just adding salt to the wounds that haven't healed yet. Yes, Julian, there's been way more anger. Absolutely. So, you know, when somebody tells you, why aren't you just over this? Why can't you put this behind you? You'll put it behind you when you're ready. And for me and the things that happened to me in my life, I don't know if they're necessarily behind me. They kind of walk alongside me, mostly as friends these days. Yeah, you even say it to yourself, don't you? Even in myself, to my shame. You know what? You can make this one of the things that you start writing on. This fits perfectly into this conversation today, Susie. These things, you know, that happen to us sit in us forever. We can address them. We can take them to therapy. We can do our best to heal them, and very actively. But there are days and sudden and unexpected events that can bring them from the background into the forefront and remind us that those things happen to us, and because they don't go away. We learn to manage our new perspective of the world because of those things. We don't, and a lot of times when we're going through healing, we talk a lot about what happened because we're trying to make sense of it. We're trying to see how it helps us fit into the world with this new paradigm that we have of having been victimized by somebody else's abuse. Yeah. But this is the opportunity, Julian, to learn what your triggers are. And, sometimes they catch you off guard because they come out of the left field or out of the blue. But, there are times of year for me when I know that I am more likely to be more easily triggered than other times of year. And, I let my loved ones know this is going to be this week has potential to be a rough week for me, and just often saying it out loud gives me permission to acknowledge that there was a time in my past when this particular week on a regular basis was a bad week. And that usually is enough. I don't have to say anything more about it. It usually lowers the shortness of the fuse on my triggers, and it's really about being aware within yourself. But remember to be, and I put this one up here not because I think that you guys would say these things to someone else, but because when someone else says it to you, I want you to understand this because they haven't had a major trauma in their life. They haven't had a major loss, a major abuse. They haven't had any of those kinds of things to identify what it's like to carry that kind of pain. And it's often stated more out of ignorance than it is anything else. And I, so I try really hard with this when somebody says something like this to me, to say, you know what, I wouldn't have the fire that I have for the work that I do if I just put it behind me, if I just moved on. I wouldn't. That the things that happened to me in my life give me that fire. So, there's there's all of that to consider as well when we have this conversation about, is it over already, or why don't you move on? Because I moved on. Yeah. They can't relate. Sometimes they just can't because they haven't had the same kind of, they haven't had any kind of trauma in their life. And there are people that go through life with very little trauma and who are not even sure what to do with the trauma that they're feeling with all of the things going on in the world right now because they've never had any other kind of experiences. And, so in some ways, we're a little bit at the advantage because we have. Son says, I think it's Saturn, Jupiter, and Mercury in Aquarius this month that's behind this strange feeling in the air. You have a really good point with that, Son. I cannot argue with that. And we have a full moon coming too this Friday, so that full moon really starts to ramp up the energy as well. And sometimes we have a feeling that comes across, it kind of hides. And this one says, I sat with my anger long enough until she told me her real name was grief. Sometimes we come across grouchy, bitchy, mean, and angry because we are stuffing down the pain of grief that we can't feel like we can't manage, or that if we acknowledge or allow will overwhelm us and take us over forever. I'm here to tell you personally that when you deal with your grief and give it the space it needs and give it the room it needs, it will come out and it will flow and it will transmute. And the anger and the combustibility that you're feeling will subside. So allow your grief, address it, care for it, write about it. Where does it come from? What does it stem from? What are the roots of it? What are you learning from it? And all of this will really help to staunch the outbursts of anger and things that you may be feeling. It can be overwhelming. Just being empaths, you can feel the world around you and all the horror, the anger and anguish, and the helplessness. Yeah, that's my sister. Everything is great for her. She always says move on, and she just doesn't understand. She doesn't understand. She does, and she doesn't understand, Luna Cat, because she hasn't had the same experience that you have. And sometimes people will say that to us because they don't know what else to say. So when, for me it is, refresh your screen, guys, if you have black screen. Bring my screen up. Okay. And sometimes people will say that because they don't know what else to say, and they feel they're having feelings about, feelings for you, compassionate feelings for you, and they don't know what to say. So make a little bit of room for that too. It can be overwhelming. Yeah, she doesn't know. Thank you, Fortunate. Look at all of the new followers and things, guys. That's really awesome. Thanks for joining me here. All right. If you can change your mind, you can change your life. I took that picture at Burning Man, by the way, the first year I went. A stop sign planted a yield sign planted in the middle of the desert. If you can change your mind, you can change your life. How many times have you changed your mind? And what kinds of things have you changed your mind about? So if you can change your mind, you can change your life. Because when you change the thought pattern and the thought habits in your mind, you can change your life. Nice to see you, Kadir. Walk your path like you mean it. CG84. See if you, if shutting down some of the tabs in your browser helps. Sometimes closing down browser tabs helps your apps run better. Walk your path like you mean it. If you're an artist, get up in the morning and be an artist. Put your apron on, get your paints out. You don't have to be good at it. Just do it. Walk it like you mean it. Every day that you walk it like you mean it, you're a day closer to being it. Okay, now, I'm not necessarily advertising Home Depot here, but to me, Home Depot is a land of possibilities. What for you is your land of possibilities? They have tile, and they have wood flooring, and they have paint, and they have all kinds of stuff for building things and planting things and growing things. And so I always get really excited about going to Home Depot. I don't know what excites you, what makes you feel like there is possibility in the world, but write about that this week. Whatever it is that makes you feel like you're in a place of possibility, write about that place, and then find a way to get yourself there at least once a month. Whatever it takes to be inspired and to feel like you can be creative and productive and excited about life and the things around you. Home Depot is it for me. And lastly, this is our last slide for today. Take the 30-day challenge. Start with the sunsets in the evening like we talked about earlier. And I'll put this up on my website tonight when we're done so you can see the things that, you're are listed in this list for things to take a picture of. It's 30 days. That's 5.5 seconds for 30 days. How many of you can do that? I can do that. See, I can do that. So let's read them. A self-portrait. Take a picture of what you wore today. Take a picture of the clouds. Something green. Something from a high angle. Something from a low angle. A piece of fruit. A bad habit. Someone you love. Childhood memory. Something blue. A sunset. You're going to take a picture of a sunset every day for this week, so you'll get that one covered. Yourself with 13 things. Your eyes, or someone's eyes. Silhouettes. Take a long exposure. Take a picture of technology. Take a picture of your shoes. Take a picture of something warm. Oh, I can't read that word. Buka. That is a special. I'm going to look that up. I know what it is, but I want a simple explanation of it for you. Okay. Buka is when you have the subject of your photograph is out of focus. So put your subject out of focus. A faceless self-portrait. Hands, rock or stones. An animal. Something pink or purple. A close-up. Something from a distance. Flowers. Take a black and white. And then take another self-portrait. The reason this exercise is here as part of our conversation today is because it's going to give you something to do for a few minutes out of each day that is completely and entirely unrelated to everything else going on in the world around you. Again, like spending a few minutes watching the sunset or listening to some music. This is another way for you to lift up your mental state and deal with grief and deal with some loss by doing something a little bit creative. And every one of us has a camera on our phones, so this will be fun to see you do. Maybe I will put up a room in Telegram where we can post our photos. It's fun to share. It's fun to commit to, and it's fun to share. So when I have that up this afternoon, I'll let you know tonight when Corey comes on, if he comes on. Yeah. Gardening. You always plant your garden in January for summer and start planting my babies. I don't have a green thumb, so I'm a bit leery. It's not super hard, and if you, Lunacat, there's a beginner botanicals group in Telegram. Let me get you the link for that. And if you have questions about how to grow something, we have master gardeners in there who support all the new growers. So there's the link for you to join that group too. Oh, it's sad when your fruit trees freeze. I know about that. So you have a lot of good topics for your journaling this week, you guys, and I really enjoy sharing them with you. I hope that you're writing during the week and taking time to think about the things we talk about. It's really good for your mental health. It's really good for the people around you, and for you to have some mental health outlets. And it's a really good time to have we're going to have a year full of really amazing growth if you're doing it. So thank you again Do you guys have any questions before we sign this off? You're welcome, Luna Cat. Thank you, Julian. I really enjoy being here with you guys. It's pretty awesome. You're welcome, Susie Q. You're welcome. You're welcome, Dude Abides. Thank you, guys. Well, I'm going to go and take care of things I need to take care of this evening. So thank you again for joining me, and we'll see you another afternoon this week. Let me look at the calendar for tomorrow while I have you here. Oh, do you, Luna Cat? I'm so glad. I will give Corey some love too, Julian. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Susie. You're welcome, Son. Thanks for participating. Here you go, guys. That's the event page. I try and stick to this as often as and much as possible. If I miss one, I try and bring back the class on a later date. Tomorrow, I'm going to try and address, start this class on teaching tarot and getting to know the cards in the tarot. So we'll cover a couple of cards tomorrow. It won't be too terribly long. So grab your decks and bring them. I'm glad you guys feel relaxed and calm and happy when you spend time here. That means means I'm doing a good job, and it gives me a little bit more purpose and motivation to keep fighting my nerves and doing it. You guys are awesome. Yeah, here on D Live. So, all right, guys. I will see you later. Have a good evening. Thanks for being here again. Awesome. See you then, Serafina. Bye, guys.
What's up, Phoenix fam? It's AW 2019 from D-Live. Just wanted to say that if you have not already tried some of Corey and Alicia's tea from their tea shop on thephoenixenigma.com, you should definitely do so. Now, I usually just drink coffee. I don't normally drink hot tea, but I did decide to try this Quiet Rest tea as well as their Old Number 36 tea. Now, real quick on the Old 36 tea, again, I'm a coffee drinker, so I never acquired the taste for different types of teas. The ones that I have tried in the past have been the floral ones, more like the Quiet Rest tea. This particular one has orange peel, licorice root, ginger, turmeric, black pepper, and coriander. So it's more of a spicy tea. I did try some when I first got it, but it's really not my thing. So if you're into the spicy stuff, then you will probably really enjoy this tea. But me, personally, not a fan of it. But the Quiet Rest tea I really did enjoy, being that I'm not a tea drinker, and this one is a floral. I did enjoy this tea. This tea here has chamomile, lavender, lemon balm, passion flower, and valerian in it, which seemed to help me sleep the very first night that I took some. I have trouble sleeping at night, so when I do fall asleep, I usually toss and turn. But the very first time that I tried some of this tea here, I could feel like a difference after drinking maybe half a cup of it. My body kind of felt almost weightless and relaxed. So by the time I was done with the cup, I was ready to roll over and go to bed. When I did, I didn't wake up until the next day. So I really did enjoy this tea, and will be purchasing more of this tea because it is my new go-to when I have trouble sleeping at night. So I highly recommend this if you are, like me, have issues sleeping. When you first open it, it does have the aroma of valerian root. I wasn't sure what it was when I opened it. I read the little card that came with it and saw that it was valerian. but it didn't smell bad. It smelled good. I did notice that once the tea was brewed and sat for a bit, you can smell more of the other floral scents in it, and it has a really good aroma, and it's a light scent, not too strong, and the flavor itself is floral, but it's a light floral taste as well. And it's just all around, to me, it's a really good tea. I know a lot of people like to put honey or sugar in it, or milk in their tea. I've done that before with, say, black tea when I was younger. However, this tea here doesn't need anything at all. I enjoy it just the way it is. And again, it does help me to wind down at night and get ready for bed, which I needed because I do have difficulty sleeping. So if you're like me and you have issues sleeping at night, give this Quiet Rest tea a shot and see what you think. On top of that, if you haven't already, be sure to check out the Phoenix Enigma coffee mug. They come in a variety of colors. I decided to go with the gray. One side's TPE, the other's I got 33 problems and a cold ain't one. So be sure to check those out. This is my new favorite mug. I drink out of this thing every single day, several times a day. As well as the TPE t-shirt. So one side's TPE, the back of it says the Phoenix Enigma. So yeah, be sure to check out their website, thephoenixenigma.com. Look for their tea shop and their gear and purchase you some and be a part of the resistance. Take care, guys.